Mr. Guy deBoer. Here we are again, 4 years later.
Don McIntyre.
Holy dooly, eh? I got to say, I was very excited when you finally put your entry in. That's the first thing I'll say. And secondly, wow, what a story. I mean, last time, leading into 22, there was this big, bold American, going to try and win the race, which was fantastic.
I think you called me loud.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that with genuine honesty. I used to say, yeah, guys, this big, loud, cigar smoking American, but a great guy. We no pun intended, but you captured us. We were captivated by you as soon as we finally got to meet in person and at the village and all that sort of stuff. It was good fun, and then all of a sudden, bingo!
I was
10
out.
days later, you're out.
No one was more disappointed than myself.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't about me. I don't want to keep talking too much, but I distinctly remember when we got the call. In fact, I forget how it came. Did you? I
think Kirsten called you up.
Yeah, Kirsten made the call to us, but I couldn't remember whether it was on the phone or whether it was something. I think she was still in phone.
No, she called you on the sat phone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the call, and then I got onto you, and we were talking on the sat phone, and you're bouncing up and down in the waves. It was all a little bit dramatic, and
it was dramatic.
It sure was. Anyway, and then you ended on the beach, and you managed to recover the boat and so on. So, but let's just cut back to your feeling now. Forget about the past. I think people will see what goes on there. But where you at now? You've had some help to get there, and now you're in the game.
Well, I mean, as of sort of the middle of July of last year, I did not see myself in the GGR. I didn't see a path forward financially, and I met a New Zealander right before the start of the Port Huron to Mackinac race, Rodney Keenan, and he's the CEO of Evolution Sales. And literally in 1 week's time and 3 conversations in the lobby at the Chicago Yacht Club before the Chicago Mac race, he told me he was going to donate the sales that were stolen.
Yeah.
So that was a huge hurdle that I didn't see way to overcoming that. And then in September, when I returned to Key West, I got a phone call out of the blue from a man I've only met once, and that was in 22, and he made the donation contribution of the entry fee.
Yeah.
So those 2 things were the big thing that got me forward. And then, of course, I'm here in Annapolis working for Stephen Waith, one of the other Americans, getting his boat ready for the race. So the added income of that is why I'm here today.
Yeah, okay. I think we need to go right back again because I know a fair bit about you because we've been through this exact scenario of an interview, years ago. But just your sailing background and your professional background, people will be surprised to hear what that is. Newspapers and blah blah blah. Just give us a rundown. Who's Guy deBoer? What have you been doing in your life?
Well, I mean, I grew up sailing as a young boy at the New Orleans Yacht Club. I migrated in '80 to the Star class, and eventually tried to go to the Olympics in the Star class and a fin as well, and became a pretty decent sailor. And I took that into a professional racing career, and then virtually at the same time, I've been in newspapers and magazines, and currently I own basically the smallest newspaper in America in Key West, Florida. So, they were fun careers, but neither one paid a lot of money. So, which is why I struggle to do the things I'm doing today.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a whole story to get Spirit together last time. You chose an interesting boat. You got a lot of people helping you get to the line on that first edition. Just give us a brief on that as well.
Well, if we're talking about 22, yeah, yeah, I raised over $300,000, and it was all from individuals. Um, Combination of sailors that I used to race for, as a professional, and just a large group of friends that joined. So that's what 22 got accomplished, um, and then for the 26 race, it's amazing on how many of those friends said I needed to find new friends because they'd given once and were not going to give a second time, which I can understand. But here and there, I've been able to sort of nickel and dime, and of course, this effort because I already owned Spirit and she was already GGR ready. It was less money, but it was still over $100,000.
Yeah. You've got the gift of the gab, more so in a certain style, and especially the vision of smoking cigars, which really draws people in. I mean, you're a real character, and I'm just going to direct some people. We've done half-hour little video clips of each of the 22 GGR entrants. We've still got 4 or 5 of the last ones to do, but we did one on you, and it's fantastic. The way you were managing yourself from the start line, or in the race village, the start line, and all that sort of stuff heading towards Lanzarote, and the way you filmed yourself and communicating was stunning. It was fantastic. So everyone can go and see that, and you'll understand what I mean. But you definitely got a good story, and you're a communicator, and that's obviously paying off with the support. So, and I know you need more. So, what's your take on that? Because you still got
Well,
a
you mean,
bit to get.
yeah, I mean, I've got a couple large things to overcome. I haven't paid for the life raft yet. I haven't paid for the medical kit. The insurance is still outstanding. The liability insurance that's required to do the race. I still have to put a race bottom on the boat. Spirit is. I went back to the Canary Islands in November to work on Spirit and get it ready for the race. And all the systems that I were in place for the 22 race, every single one worked perfectly.
Yeah,
So I didn't have to do anything there. But remember, when the boat was on the rocks, they stole $60,000 of gear. So I've decided to put two wind vanes on a wind pilot and a hydro vane, and I'm installing larger and more solar panels because I don't have the money for the hydro vane, not the hydro vane, the hydro generator. The Watt and C was stolen, and that's a very expensive piece of equipment.
yeah,
So I'm getting there. I'm getting there, and we'll
yeah.
see how it goes forward.
And just to step sideways a bit, you're actually working on Stephen's boat. Just trying to explain to people how that works. Stephen's an entrant in the GGR.
Well,
He's got
I mean,
a
just in the sense of this, I think we ought to, when you interview Stephen, let Stephen talk about his program. He has a wonderful boat. He
no. I'm just
bought
saying
he
you
bought a cape.
how you got ended up connected to be working on his boat for 3 4 months or something.
Well, well over a year ago, I established a WhatsApp group of the skippers because if I wanted to share anything to the skippers, even if I wasn't, in the 26 race, I wanted to create a much closer group that existed in 2018 or 2022. So the skippers could share information of what they've learned about getting their boats ready, and in this group, we've I've been participated with what I did in 22 in the race. Lawless participated. Ertan participated early before he did his own round the world thing again on the mini globe. Um, and so you know I I've created sort of the thing of like the hardest thing in the Golden Globe race is not the race itself. It's just getting to the starting line. And if you know that going in, then you'll work really hard. And I think you've had I think a total of 29 entries,
Yeah.
and I think you're at 20. You're at 27 right now, or 20,
Well, no,
or
there's a couple dropped. There's a couple dropped since then. But
yeah, but you also got Erten back.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, so So now that we're so much closer, and in 22 and 2018, there were a lot more boats that skippers that dropped out because they were not getting ready.
Yeah.
I I see a lot of this group making it to the starting line, so I feel proud about hopefully contributing part of that. And I talk a lot about sailing. I talk a lot about storms, and so I think this group will be pretty well prepared, so that hopefully we'll get a lot more people across the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're the same. As you know, we've made some things a bit tougher than last time. So, and that's an objective, but it's still going to be a race of attrition. I mean, I think uh, once we get down underneath Cape Town and you turn left and get along the bottom, that's the game changer. You know, getting that far is always the final qualifier before we get through. So that's cool.
No, you're right, and as you say, I'm sort of a bold individual. I when we think about solo around the world races, they're basically four that I'm aware of. Of course, your mini globe just successfully. I mean, it's amazing what accomplished there, and we won't get into that because that's your story. But the Vendée Globe, which is just an incredible event, but it does not compare at all with the difficulties faced by a Golden Globe skipper.
Yeah,
And it comes down to days on the water.
yeah,
The record in the Vendée Globe is 64 days finishing.
yeah,
We're not to Cape Town yet in
yeah,
64 days in general. So we're faced with so much more difficulties of storms, shipping, hazards in the water, let be containers, whales. It's the chafe that's involved, and 206 what 234 days. Kirsten won the
yeah,
22 race.
yeah.
It's just much more difficult than it is in a Vendée Globe.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
all love
not
the
taken against what the sailors accomplished. It's just a fact of the time on the water.
Yeah, yeah. We all love the Vendée Globe and the Mochas are mind-boggling stuff. But I was going to write an article at one point, and I isolated 25 subjects as a solo sailor to get around the world, and then I ticked the boxes, which was harder on each of the subjects, in my personal opinion. Vendée versus the GGR, and there was 21 aspects of solo sailing were more difficult in the GGR than the Vendée Globe out of 25. It was quite interesting, but I didn't write the
Hmm.
article in the end. But yeah, it's tough and it's a mind game. How are you feeling now? Is this to you more of the same? You know, just going back again, or is it you feel fresh? You feel you're hungry for it. You want to get out there and do it, or you want to just try and quantify that if you can.
Well, I'm a pragmatic individual. I don't. I'm not. I'm not really thinking about the actual sailing itself. I mean,
Yeah,
I've spent a lifetime of sailing, so this is what I say comes naturally. But I'm also turning 70 this month.
oh, you're a boy like me.
Yeah, yeah. So there are aspects of it that are obviously different than if I was 40 years old or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And uh, uh, no, I need to get I need to accomplish what I am doing here in Annapolis pretty soon. I need to get to the Canary Islands and prepare the bottom, provision my boat, and take off on my qualifying sail. And on the qualifying sail is where, if you wanted to say, I'm thinking about the race, that's where I'll be thinking about the race,
yeah.
approaching the Sable d'Olonne again.
Yeah, yeah, too true. So, sideline subject. What are you going to do for anti-fouling? This is going to become a big subject, and people are already starting to ask questions.
I'm I'm doing exactly what I did in the 22 race. I'm using a blade of paint. It's called Seahawk, a small company in Clearwater, Florida, that actually just got purchased by Axel Noble. So Interlux Paint Company, and it's a phenomenal paint. I've used it for years in Key West, and just to let you know, it was the paint that
This
uh,
time,
Istan used.
yeah,
And when you looked at his bottom coming out after the 22 at the 18 race, it was 99% perfect.
yeah. Yeah. Although there's this discussion on that issue of barnacles, whether you're either lucky or unlucky. Did you sail through a cloud of blooming spores from the barnacles or not, because there seems to be some inconsistency, but who knows, An interesting subject, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I launched my boat the beginning of June in 2022. Uh, I ran on the rocks, September 14th or something like that. And if you look at the boat on the rocks, the bottom was perfectly clean.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
you ended up with a ginormous hole in the bottom of the boat, like some, crushed outer laminates around the keel and in the hull as well, and you chopped out a bigger bit to do the repair. Give us a
15,
1 minute.
15 feet by 6 feet.
Yeah,
You
give us
could
a
have
1 minute
driven
on
your
how you
car
did it.
through the side of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
it was huge. So
Yeah. And the interior, all of the interior was gone.
yeah, it's crazy. So you're happy with the end result?
Um, well, thankfully, fiberglass is an easy thing to work with. Bob Perry, the designer, sent me the line drawings and the
Yeah.
laminate schedule. The boat's built with polyester. The repair is done with epoxy. I made it a little bit heavier, where it overlaps the hull both on the inside and the outside. I'm totally confident in the boat.
Yeah. Okay. And so you made it as far as the Canaries, and you're yet to get down under Cape Town and through the Southern Ocean. What's your feeling about that now? Like it's like, will that be the first time you're in the Southern Ocean? When I did
Hmm.
mine, it was. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so you've seen everything that's happened. You're a bit anxious on that, or just take it one day at a time and see how it goes. Yeah.
I mean, I've sailed in basically 80, 90 miles an hour wind, but and of all things on Lake Michigan, but it was it wasn't a 3 day gale as an example, something like that. No, I'm confident in the boat.
Yeah.
I followed Jean Luc's lesson. I reduced my mast height by a meter and a half. Uh, the hull design of the Tashiba is unlike any other GGR boat. Bob Perry doesn't agree with this statement, but the Atkin hull form is a lovely sea kindly design. It's just a horrible design in modern terms, and it lacks stability. It hobby horses go into weather, and those are the two things my boat does not do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to rounding Cape Horn and taking the beat all the way up to the trade winds. It's going to
Yeah.
really, really excel there.
Yeah. And food? What are you doing for food?
Well, I'm short money, so I did freeze dried in the 22 race, and we've explored companies, but nobody's offering us anything but a discount. So
Yeah.
it's still unknown. I might have to go with more traditional food because the freeze dried is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's plenty to choose in France. They got some of the best long life meals that you can think of.
Well,
Not life.
I carried dry bags, so each week I had a dry bag with identical food,
Yeah.
and it's about $250 a week. So if anyone wants to contribute to the campaign, I'm sure we'll talk about my website in a little bit.
Yeah.
$250 buys me a week of food, and that's incredible.
That's cool. Yep. We'll definitely do the website thing. So what are you looking forward to most? What's driving you? Well, it's actually this is probably the craziest question for someone like you because you ended up on the rocks. What I was going to say is what's driving you? Why do you want to why do you want to do the GTR? But it's pretty obvious.
In life, in my life, it's rarely been an easy route. You know, uh, there's a lot more failures than there's successes.
Yeah.
But you learn from your successes. No American has ever won a single-handed solo round the world race, and I would like to accomplish that. I'm a competitive racer, and today I'm not a famous sailor. I'm an infamous sailor, and there's a huge difference in those terminologies.
Well,
So a lot of people know who I am, but for all the wrong reasons.
I got to say, you call it infamous sailor. You really handled yourself extremely well once you're on the rocks. I thought the way you managed yourself, the way you handled the description of what happened, and taking on board the responsibility and just talking about it a lot, so people learn from it. It was pretty impressive. It could have gone a different way, but I think you've maintained credibility totally.
Well, it's hard to blame anybody on a solo boat,
We should
but
we,
you
we
know,
should
I
we should describe to people what happened. Like it was a classic scenario when you went through the film gate and then you leave the film gate, you pick it up from there.
well, I mean, no, the problem wasn't the rocks. The problem was me. Was the problem started the first night after the start because I suffered from vertigo. I mean,
Yeah,
I've only been seasick twice in my life.
yeah,
I've seen horrible storms and everything, and I drive my crews crazy because they're throwing up, and I'm saying, "Pass the fried chicken," you know, and because of my, where I thought I would be competitive in the race, it started off where I was in the back of the fleet. I pointed my boat in the direction that the best thing that I could do, and I was sleeping, I was throwing up, so I was pretty deep by the time I got out of the bay, and of course I almost hit a fishing boat and put a big hole in
yeah.
my shin.
Good talking that.
So there was all these things that went wrong. And of course, now I'm racing to Lanzarote, and I'm burning the candles now that I've recovered that. And uh, flying spinnaker at night, and where other people are not.
Yeah,
And so when I got to the checkpoint, I was awake for about 33 hours straight.
yeah, crazy.
And and what I did as a race boat of choosing the course that I chose was fine if I had a crew. But because of the lack of sleep, I made a horrible decision. I could have sailed to the east away from the islands. I could have sailed to the west away from the islands, but instead I sailed right beside the island. In a
Yeah,
wind shift, the boat changed course. I'd fallen asleep in the cockpit, and in no time, my race was over.
yeah, it's crazy. You can follow it on the tracker actually. You go back
Yeah,
to the 28, 18 race rather, 22 race. Yeah.
22. Yeah, no, I've been to the tracker. I've looked.
Yeah, you can do a video replay on the tracker. You can wind it back on the bottom, and you can see the boat coming across. And there you go, bingo. Anyway, that's history. What's your forget about the money, forget about the equipment. The biggest challenge for you now for the GGR? Where do you see it happening on the water?
Well, one of the things is I developed a. I mean, for the past was this what I've been working on is I've written a GGR navigation tactical handbook. So I've broken the race down into 9 legs, and I analyzed each leg about what I feel are the important part because I retired as a professional racer in 2006, and even though I show up for an occasional race here and there, I'm not the sharp. I'm not the bright light anymore. And so the handbook on every single leg forces me to read this thing, each leg, every day, to remind me what I find or feel is the important strategy, tactics, uh, um, caring for the boat, just a constant list. And I've developed a longitude, latitude, depending on the course direction, the average speed of the boat, and where I expect to be on each day.
Yeah.
And then I write down where I actually am, and
Oh, that's
it's
dangerous.
yeah, and it's going to force me to to focus on what I think it's going to take to win the race.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Okay. So, and what are you looking forward to most? Like the fun part. There must be something there that's beyond business.
um, I've owned 3 ukuleles. I don't know how to play any of them. I bought a guitar in the Canary Islands, so if I want to accomplish anything, is to write a good journal and
Yeah.
to learn how to play the guitar.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. So you're a book man. You're going to take plenty of books, or
Yeah, no, I got way too many books. That's probably one of the things I have to change. And I've got another group of cassette tapes that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
I gotta find a whole new group of cigars because all my cigars were stolen.
Oh, that's horrific, eh? How many did you have? 450 cigars or something?
I something like that. It was a lot of cigars.
It's
It was a
crazy.
lot of cigars.
Yeah.
And you know, if I sail the boat to its potential, I think it's going to be a great experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. And so, what's your timeline? To get back to the boat, do the qualifier, end up in La Sable d'Olonne? What do you reckon it is?
Well, let's go back to the Stevens thing. I'm a little bit behind schedule on getting Stevens' boat ready, but I already have a ticket for April 30th
Yeah.
to return to the Canaries. I'm fearful I might have to get another ticket later in May, but the goal is to arrive in the Canaries, do the final little touches on the boat, put a race bottom on it, and leave the Canary Islands on June 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the route that I'm basically taking is the North Atlantic trade winds. I don't have to go all the way to the Bermuda,
Yeah.
but basically go towards Bermuda and then take the route back to La Sable, and that'll be my 4,000 miles.
Yeah. Cool. That'll happen pretty quickly. So, how long do you reckon? That's probably a month.
Well, I say 6 weeks. It's that's
Yeah.
that's
Six
you
weeks.
never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But 6 weeks. I don't have my full set of sails. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
I'm expecting to get my replacement sails delivered to La Sable.
Okay.
All right. So I'm missing a couple sails. I'm missing. They sold an asymmetric as an example. So I'll be
Yeah.
flying a symmetric or just a jib,
Yeah.
and uh, and I won't be having a staysail up. I don't think at that time.
Yeah. Right.
So I won't be racing across, but because I definitely don't want to damage the boat. But I should get there on or before July 15th,
Yeah.
which is basically 6 7 weeks before the start.
Yeah. I reckon you'll be quicker than that. You should be
Well,
making 1,000 miles a week. Cheapest. The 580s can do that.
well, that's fine. That's fine. But
Yeah. But anyway, no, that's a good timing regime. So that's part of the course. Yep, for sure.
and of course the goal is to leave June 1. What if I leave June 15th? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you should be in that in a month easy. Anyway, the and your game plan for the GGR, like I mean, it was pretty horrific. I won't call it horrific, but it was very tough. The start of 22 GGR, it was headwinds. It was quite solid, short and steep, and the whole fleet scattered a bit. That first sort of 6 days, 5 days was tough, and then you said you put the pedal down and went for it. Do you think you're going to pace yourself a bit more, or
No,
how?
no, no. That's the number one lesson. You're no longer racing near land. So 2 days before any landfall, and if taking out there's no gale or something that at that moment, yeah, yeah, you're sleeping. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not flying a symmetrical spinnaker. As an asymmetric's fine, but I'm not on a deep run, which is what I was. Deep broad reach run,
Yeah,
uh, going to Lanzarote.
yeah,
And so yeah, no, that's the number one rule. When you're near land, you're not racing.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's all pretty cool. So tell us about your website and things that are happening there, the links and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I have a new team manager.
She's hot.
Um,
She's producing really good social media.
yeah,
Some of your stuff is good.
and I met her in Michigan, at the Mackinac races, and of all things, she's personal friends with Rodney Keenan of Evolution Sales.
Yeah,
So yeah, she's developed the website, which is spirit-adventures.com. and we have a Dropbox there for contributions, and and then on Instagram we have Team Spirit Adventures
Yeah.
or Adventure, whatever, and incredible videos. So she's encouraged me to create these master class. So I
Yeah.
take the subjects of like the Walker log, or what do we do for collecting fresh water, or the AIS system, and I haven't done it in a couple weeks, so I have to go back soon to make a few more. So yeah, we got quite a bit of following now, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more financial support.
Yeah. Going right back again, what drew you into the GGR? When did you first hear about it? Can you remember? It was a fair while ago, obviously, but what drew
I,
you towards
I
it?
I heard about it when you first announced it, and my response is, "What a stupid race!"
Oh, it is. I got to agree. It's
And
ugly.
I did not notice the start.
Yeah.
It was when you posted the videos of Lanzarote,
Right.
and so I remember the first one I saw was Jean Luc,
Yeah.
and then I'm on the website, I'm seeing the tracker, and that race started in July. So I would look every day, and
Oh, gee.
by the time uh, uh, the New Year's came of 2019, I would go, I'm going to do this race. And the next day I go, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. Nope, I'm not going to do it. And I'm saying this is in my mind. And my birthday, as I said, is here in April 23rd. So I told myself that on my birthday, whatever the decision is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And April 23rd of 2019, it was yes.
Yeah.
And I came to La Sabre with my friend Bobby Cotton to look at the boats that were for sale and learn about the lay of the land.
Yeah. That was it. All over. Any regrets already?
Oh God, don't go there. Well, it's the thing is, and this is what yeah, yeah. I got into this thing as a commitment, of saying I'm going to do it in April of 2019, and we're in 26. It's a
Yeah.
long time now to try to do two races, and of course the first one was a horrible outcome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be doing it if I had finished or did not have the accident,
Yeah.
but the putting the boat on the rocks and something I definitely felt I had to return.
I mean, a lot of the entrants, I know exactly why they're there, either to prove something to themselves or they're looking for a life-defining moment and things like that. Do you think it's affected your life? And where do you, even with the current experience, the GGR experience you've got, where does that sit in your life up till now? Is it one of the better things you've done? One of the biggest things? One of the most fun things? One of the awful things? What? How was it set?
No, I can't comment on the GGR at this time.
Yeah.
I've got to see how this ends up in this race. To
Yeah.
have, I want it to be a wonderful experience. I want to make it to the finish line, and then of course I want to win the race.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you know, we, we analyzed everything about the boat with the two yacht designers I work with, Bob Perry and of course Mark Mills, which is today one of the Grand Prix yacht designers in the world, and they both agree that the Tashiba is the fastest boat in the race.
Yeah. Cool.
So if I don't win it and I finish, then we know again it's my fault.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, what to wrap this up? What something final that you want to say to your followers, or those that don't know you yet and need and seeing you
Hey,
for the first time?
I think the story of all the GGR skippers in their own way are great. I'm not necessarily at the end of my sailing at the age of 70, but I'm enjoying what I call adventure sailing now, and the Golden Globe is what I call adventure. And I'm looking forward to those experiences. And when I get back, sharing them. I've given two lectures here in Annapolis to groups of people, and you can't end the session.
Yeah.
You talk, and then they have more and more questions and more and more questions. So it's a great experience. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. This is interesting because it just reminded me of a few things. The GGR bans AI. We all our events have stopped AI because we're AI proof in a lot of ways. It's very human, very real, all that stuff. And I was just looking now at the conversation in Australia about autopilots in normal ocean racing. So basically, the Sydney Hobart by the end of this year will allow autopilots probably for fully crewed racing. And then I found out that the RORC is all autopilots. And what's the significance? The significance is that now the top end racing guys, none of them are going to be steering. They're going to be using all the electronics and computers and all that sort of stuff again to drive their boats. And it gets to the point where, where do you stop? They might as well just do it all by remote control. But the GGR will always be ugly and brutal and isolationist and just back to the raw basics of one person putting in all the inputs to get the boat around the world. And they've got to prepare it really well, which is really special. There's nothing else like it anywhere, eh? So you know all
There
about that.
is there is nothing else like it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I got to just throw my hat in the ring on that one. Once upon a time, I wanted to do the GGR. Now I'm not so excited about doing the GGR because I see everything firsthand. I see what you guys go through, and it's like, oh yeah, well that was a good idea. Anyway, I'm going to do other things. Don't worry, but yeah. All right, great to chat, Guy. Try and cut back on the cigars, eh? We want to see you at the finish line, but keep smoking cigars because it suits you.
Well, you don't inhale cigars. How about that?
Oh, right, okay, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I didn't realise that. I don't think I've ever smoked a cigar in my life. I think I've smoked one packet of cigarettes when I was a kid, but anyway.
I've never inhaled a cigarette.
Yeah. Anyway, good on you. All right. Well done. I mean, you're still here and you're plodding along, and I hope some people buy you some food because I'd hate to see you lose weight, on the way around. And yeah, it's an amazing story. So I look forward to reading the book when it's all over.
Same here.
Yeah. Good
All
on
right,
you.
Don.
Thanks, Guy. Perfect. I'll see you later.
All right. See you later this summer.
Boom. That'd be cut off now. So that's good. That was good fun. Yes. So many things, eh? All right. So good luck there. Don't forget to finish off Stephen's boat. We need him in the race too. So he sent me a message yesterday or the day before just about something. Anyway, that'll be fun. So where is he now? Is he still out training?
Not at the moment. He's either in Colorado with his girlfriend or San Francisco. Actually, I know he's in San Francisco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, hang in there. We're around if you need us, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me think. Was there something came up? Oh, I know. Something came up today.
Yeah.
The rules of the GGR is all of the doors have to be on board the boat, right?
Yeah, it's a production boat situation, so you have to have all your doors and everything. The only one that you can, if you put a watertight bulkhead on the main
Yeah,
forward
I
bulkhead at the
understand that.
side,
I
you can
understand that.
take the head door off. But yeah, you've got to be still a production boat with a headliner and the usual fit out for the production boat.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a European skipper today,
Yeah,
and at the end he kept thinking, "Oh no, you can do this." I said, "Call Don,"
yeah,
and I remember
yeah, absolutely.
uh,
No, it's a production boat, so they've got to line up with all the usual stuff that you get if you were buying that boat as a
yeah,
production boat.
yeah, I
We
remember.
allow. Although it's funny, I went on to because Ayrton's got Matmut now, and he just launched it today, and I went on board and I said, "Oh shit, I forgot." He doesn't have any vents in the boat. I don't know how they can do that,
Who
but
is this?
that okay. We're on Matmut. Ayrton is here in Les Sables d'Olonne at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Okay, he just launched Matmut in the
Yeah.
water. It's on the Vendée Marina now, and we were just down below doing a boat tour. Just filming a boat tour, and it just reminded me that we allowed people to take all the vents off. The ventilators. So there's no vents on Matmut, which I find hard to believe that people can do that because it'll get mouldy and thingo. But he didn't, because he's only got a normal hatch, so air's probably coming down through the companionway hatch. But I was surprised. I couldn't sail the Southern Ocean without vents.
Yeah, I have that in my Dorades, but I have the ability to seal them, and
Yeah,
when a
absolutely.
storm comes.
Yeah, yeah. But you need the air. We found in the minis, in the 580s, one of the guys took a CO2 monitor inside the cabin,
Oh, it was
and
high.
it was going off all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've now insisted on 3 vents in the boat. We used to be mandatory 2, but now we're insisting on 3 because you close the boat up in a storm, and you can use it all up pretty quick. So, anyway, part of the fun. Okay, well, good to chat. So take care. Be careful working on the boat. It's probably more dangerous than sailing, touch wood.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
yeah, great.
All right,
Okay.
Don.
Thanks,
Ciao.
mate.